Hello, good time of day, everyone. So, this is going to be a continuation of the programming I was doing before on the little NES-like engine. Did some spriting last week, and this week we're going to use some of those sprites to actually do something. So, with that said, click. Hopefully the there we go. Must have had something on my eye. Hopefully, this little model isn't too garish and hard on the eyes, but we'll see how it goes. So to begin with, currently what the engine is running like for this, and to test that this is actually right, is like so. Today, I'm going to try and get some enemy collision boxes in there. I don't need to do a heck of a lot for this, as I believe SDL has some collision data. So I just need to make SDL recs and have them see if they touch each other. So to do this, the idea is going to be, I have a collision box on BB here. I have collision boxes on all the enemies, and since this is based off ghouls and goblins, or ghosts and goblins, however the G and G's went, it's only going to check if enemy hits you and if projectile hits you. Otherwise, it's going to be a single projectile, or a couple. I don't remember how many you can get on screen, though. It's going to be off from original anyways. Hits enemies, so we can use the same hitboxes, except for projectile data, which only goes one way. So, first thing I'm going to need to do is put enemy arrays into the system, which I already have. I'm not going to get into loading and unloading of them or spawn triggers, which I still need to figure out. But I need to figure out why I have that black box in that corner. I think I'm just blending an empty sprite location as a test. Anyways, so that said, bop. Up in here. And the first thing I did off stream was I made a little enemy struct, which is going to have an X and a Y, and it's going to have the monster type, which I might make into an enum later, but we'll see. And I think I should also I think this should probably have a direction on it. Oh, wait. I think that's some leftover one, because I did put direction on it. So I have it limited to 20 right now, which should be enough. And because enemy data will be mostly controlled by what type it is, and possibly a state, all I need is entity ID, the state it's in, and whether it's going left or right. Maybe I add up or down into there, but I think state should take care of that. But for right now, I just need to blip the screen, so... Oops. I should be able to have... Why'd you all go red? Yes, code, are you okay? Okay. Oh, no, I need to do that down in the setup of everything. So, we have this. I know there's going to be a better way to initiate everything, but I like to make sure that everything is cleaned up. Get down here. Camera, events. Build the screen, set up clocks, so probably right here. In fact, we'll make a function for that right below these, just so I can have it. Void clean enemy array. Int index equals 0. Index is less than max enemy. Index plus plus your basic little loop. And all this is going to do is that at that index enemy array index I'm trying to think if there's a cleaner one. Sorry. X equals 0. Let's actually move this up to the top. I just like to replicate that. Actually, can I do it like this? I am not a... Sorry. Direction... No direction. C person, so this could be completely wrong. There, okay, I think that's fine then. Whoop. What did I mess up here? Ah, yes. Okay. Okay, are you still fine with that? Cool. Void set enemy int index int type enemy type. I can set the rest in there. Int x, int y. We'll keep all the logic in here, and this will be the most simple in that. For now, all I need to do is just the enemy type equals enemy type. Oh. And enemy array index dot x equals x. Enemy array index dot y. Dot y. We'll fill out the rest later because I'll then need to look up like all the extra stuff, like what its HP should be, what its starting state should be. Width and height I might not actually use. That might just come directly from the entity ID. Because, like, for example, this little guy right here is, you know, 32 by 16. Okay, we have that. Now let's make a render. So much stuff. Okay, where are we going? Not going to be in the collision data. I'm pretty sure I have some... Okay, here's the render stuff. Render enemy array. Render enemy void. Render enemy array. And we're going to be passing in the SGL renderer. We have access to that. Whoops. Oh, let's just copy this so I don't have to deal with it. Whoop. Actually, where's the one I use for layer? Render text sprite, render camera, render map. Thinking here a little bit. I'll be using these down here. But what do I need to pass in to actually get stuff to function right? That's the question. ABC. So the player is using an absolute render, so I don't think I can really use that. What I am going to need to use is... probably similar to map camera. Okay, ABC. So we have that. Into camera X, into camera Y. Okay. Now we can do a loop. Max enemy index plus plus. If enemy array, because that's basically global. Dot enemy. Oops. Enemy entity ID. Equals 0, continue. Yep, that's fine. So that gets out of there. Otherwise, we're going to take enemy and then we're going to render it based on what it is. So we can make a case switch. That's what I'm thinking of. Switch enemy array index dot. Oh, no. There we go. See, how did switch syntax work? Been a bit. Switch content. I could do an if-else ladder, but I probably should use a bit of switch. Okay, switch syn. Okay, it is closed by that, and then we have this. Okay. So we're just going to have a case of 1 here. Break case default. Break. It's weird to me because, oh, it's just default. There's no case default. Wow. It's always weird to me because it goes from using the curly brackets to using like that sort of syntax. And C++ is very much just encapsulate everything in your curly brackets. That's what you do for everything. Then everything else is the same line, doesn't require this sort of structure. Okay. So, first off, this is going to be the ink dog. Render sprite absolute. So we have the renderer, we have the texture. Might as well actually call it what it should be. Display Y. We'll get to that in a second. Display Y. Display X. And I think target X, let me go up there. I think target X was how big it is. Oh no, this is, okay, so I'm just going to be rendering 2. Okay, what is target X then? Oh, okay. I gotcha. Source rectangle. Okay, give me a second to think here. Yeah. So you should be 0, 0. And we're rendering in 16 block, or 16 by 16 blocks. That's fine. And then we'll always keep it facing left right now. I'll figure out something for that. And then we do the second one, which will be 1, 0. Going from Atlas space to an actual station is kind of interesting. Anyways. So, render map of camera. Start rendering the X. It is the X position minus the camera. Okay, so we should be able to just do enemy array index.x. Why is it doing that? Minus camera x. Enemy array index. Yeah, it's just popping this in here like it's expected, and that's silly, and I don't know why it's doing that now, but it's making it harder to work with. I love it when this stuff just decides it's smarter than you and decides to make you do more work. Okay, this should be good. Now then, I need to bring in the font. I mean, not the font, the texture sheet. I'm just going to copy this. As I said before, it always picks the best way to cover up what you're working on. This is... let me actually check within the folder structure. Op. Did I actually export? I think I did. Nope, I did not. Okay, let me do that real quick. 1 second. Up. Because I need to click the buttons to export, and it opens up file structures because of course it does. Okay, is this even the right location? This is the right location. Save out, export, and we're good. Okay. Boom. It's got that in there. And it is called... I'm just going to copy paste it. Am I outputting the right location? There it is. Okay. Just didn't want to refresh. And it's called small enemies because that is the small enemy sheet. And this will be the small enemy texture. Okay, so we get down here. Probably render enemies before player so that the player can be on top in case of overlap. So render enemy array. We pass in the renderer. Pass in that, and then camera X, camera Y. Pop. Okay, so that's all well and good. So we'll go back up here, find wherever we put BB to start with, and then I will put in an enemy like 5 or 16 pixels over. So enemy array 0, or no, set enemy array 0, enemy type is 1, and its X is going to be player.x plus 32, player.y minus 16, or player character. Let's fix that. Okay. It has been compiled. Let's see if it works. What broke? What didn't break? Helps if I'm not in the art folder. Click, click. Okay, clearly something's wrong. Clearly. First off, I didn't move the second sprite over 16 pixels. But it looks like I also did not use camera X and camera Y correctly. Because it's dragging it up at an X, so one of them equals the other. Also, I have a lot of debug coming out. Nope. Ah, there's a candidate for that. Go up. Yeah, there you are. Into the void, please. And then render enemy. Okay, first off. Yeah, this is backwards. Would it do that? Possibly. And this is backwards. Or no, this is correct. This needs to be plus 16. And glyph width is the size of my sprites, which I've been using 16 by 16, so continue to be 16 by 16. Okay, now we have this. We hit the magic button. Oh no. Well, he's staying in place, but not looking so good. Is that 32 then? But the only thing I think is that it is not the yeah, that's 32. Char width, that's what I want. What's glyph width? Oh yeah, because I was using character sizes that were 32 and my font was 16. Char being character width. Glyphs being... Yeah, this was... Once again, this is all based on one of my hacky engines for roguelikes. So, characters being actual like text and glyph being the symbol put on screen for characters, which turned out to be sprites in the end, but yeah. there we go. Let's put him up in the air a bit so he'd probably be more where he's going to be because ghostly little dog thing. So set enemy. You are minus 32 or 16. Let's make it 48 and see what happens. So where does +0 put it at? Because I'm a little confused at this. Compile. Oh. BB might be calculated by her feet location for easy math for collision, which I won't really need to do for enemies because they can just phase through everything and I really won't care. But it might cause some issue in a minute when I try doing collision. Sorry. You know what? I think I want to have the bit of animation in here. So we're going to render enemy. We are going to have float animation count. I think that's what I'm having as my... Oh, wait. I think I am storing that as a float for various... Alright, let me back up and actually articulate this. Let's put 0 for now. So I should be keeping a rolling value for various functions. Mostly for frame rate. Well, actually, is animation counter. Animation counter is an int, so I can get away with... Okay, let's go with that. Because I do have a rolling... Yeah. Okay. My mistake. We're going to pass animation count, frame count in here. I am keeping something that rolls to keep track of, like, what's actually going on based on the deltas accumulating. And that's a float. But if I'm already doing the math to get it into quantize 128 chunks, let's go with that. So, if I want to put a note up here. Animation counter is 0 to 127. So we're going to make this every half of that. Okay. So if animation counter divided by 2 is less than 32, we do this. Oh, it's count. Variables are the hardest thing in programming. Because they're always bad. They're not expressive enough. But now that we have this, it should flip and flip-flop a little bit. So now move that to 2, move that to 3. And our ink dog should do the wiggle. Look at it. Excuse me for 1 second. Blah. Okay. If I had time, I'd gargle some salt water or something. Okay, I think he needs to move a little faster, and we can do that easily by going back in here, and instead of dividing by 4, or, where are we? There we are. Instead of dividing by 2, we divide by 4, doubling it. So we half this, and now we will get that animation moving twice as fast. Actually, I'm not thinking here. I should mod this by 32. This is what I want. This is the way. I could do that and it'd probably get away with it, but I think this is the better way. Doing math a couple hours after you wake up, not a good thing. Bop, 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 bop. Look at him go. Possibly a little too fast. We can adjust this, make this 6432, and this will half the speed. We could do other things such as scale it by like multiplying what this is or other stuff, but I'm going to keep it simple. That looks fine. Also, I realize BB doesn't have a hit sprite. We'll get to that, or I'll probably get to that off screen. We'll see what happens, but otherwise, Z-Dog is dogging. I think I'm going to go with the assumption that we're going with bottom left. I want to take a look at where BB is, because this is going to make all the math easier later. So is BB rendered by the bottom of her square or the top? Usually the origin in these sort of systems is top left because that's where the origin is. 0, 0 is the top left. But in it's completely arbitrary, but that's just how I'm running it because that's how I'm able to print it out in STL. So okay, we get into here. Player Y minus 17. So yes, we are using the bottom left. Okay, this is hair. This body. Well, that's head. Yeah, we're doing everything by bottom left. It's not going to matter too much, because it's either going to be project down 16 or project up 16. So I'm going to go back to enemy, render enemy, and basically minus 16 from everything on where it's supposed to be displayed. Whoops. It helps if I actually go into the method and not to where the method is called. Rookie mistake. So minus 16. Note that all renders are done from, or all positions are done from bottom left in order to simplify BB floor collisions. Yep. There we are. So, Think Dog is at the same height as BB, therefore, that's what we have. Okay. Now then. Looks pretty alright. Next step is to make a hurt box and also move it over a little bit so I can actually deal with walking into the hurt box. So enemy set enemy. You're already plus 32. So 1 or 0. 1, 2, That seems a lot less than it should be. I know BB's sprite is a little iffy with the twin tails, making it seem larger. Anyways, I am now going to make a function. Let's just go up to set enemy. Void. So we're going to pass in an STL rectangle, and that's going to come out. Why I'm doing it like this is so that I could also use it for debugging, because I could just call the same function and debug the hitbox this way. Get enemy hitbox int index, because we're going to be doing the same thing we did before, which is literally just look at the global array, use the entity ID in there, look up what the hitbox size, the hitbox size should be, and return that. So with that, we have an SDL rect being passed in. I think you do it this way. I'm probably wrong. Okay. So once again, switch because it's faster. Enemy array index dot entity ID case 0. It shouldn't hit this, but it probably will. Just return. We don't care. Case 1 hitbox.x equals enemy array index dot x. That's fine. It's the y that's going to be weird. Hitbox.y equals enemy array index dot y minus 16 because we have to go up. Why don't you like this? Okay, that's the way. Hitbox.width equals 32 and hitbox.height equals 16. And that should give us that. We return. Then we have default. Break. I'm just going to put this up here of ink.dot. So with that, I'm going to do a test and just actually, I'm going to make something right here. No, let's go down. Because I'm probably going to be debugging a lot, I might as well make an entire dedicated function to it, and it's going to be a render function right next to the enemy render. Void render enemy. Okay. And void render enemy hitbox, and we're going to just pass in the renderer the renderer and the camera X and Y, because that's all we need. We don't need textures. We're just going to be putting an alpha green color on that. Int camera X, int camera Do we want to have this called by this, or do we want to have it called by something else? It'd be more efficient if it's called on its own, because I can reuse the rect to just blit everywhere, so let's do that. Okay. More index for int index equals 0, index less than max enemy. And I don't have to have like a switch in here to say, oh no, don't do this. So every frame it's rendered it. I could just debug it out, and it's not going to be being called in here. Or the check for it to be called in there. Anyways, index plus plus. Do the same junk down here. And instead of that, we got... Oh no, put this up at the top. SDL rect equals 0, 0, 0, 0. Because rect is just a struct. Hitbox. So with that, we're able to get enemy hitbox, index, hitbox. Do I have to put anything on there? No, I can just do it that way. So we got the hitbox. Now, SDL render rectangle. I think this is the one. Okay, I'm going to need to do a set color here, which is going to be interesting because I always screw this up. So render hitbox and just Python, just C++ things. Okay, ABC that right there, so I can be back in a second and grab what the heck do I use to make everything a single color, which is done right at the top here because that's how I make everything black. Okay, set render color, and we have an alpha layer in there. Perfecto. ABC because I just use it. Instead of just smashing what the color is, we could do this. 64 sounds good. And green sounds good, so 255. Because 256 would be 1 over from 0 to that. You like that? Cool. I didn't even use it, so let's go down here. Let's pop down here. Bop, bop. Render, camera X, camera Y. Can't spell anything, so we'll copy paste. We good? We're good. Now recompile. That's supposed to be green. RGB. What am I thinking? But it is being absolute. Interesting. This should be, you know, like right there. Okay. This is also literally how they make hitbox viewers. They look up what the enemy hitbox is, because usually they, insane programming, they store it somewhere so that it can be looked up later and not generated on the fly, but strange and bizarre. And they just put it to screen because it's going to share the same coordinates. Okay, let's go back into here. Oh, okay, I know what's happening. It's because it's not adjusting. So once we get the hitbox, we go hitbox.x minus camera minus equals camera x, hitbox.y minus equals camera y. Oop, I can't spell. Shocker, I know. Alright, back into this. Boop, boop. You seem a bit off there. Well, that's better. I mean, it's actually moving with it. It's very good to know, because that means that our hitbox is off. So... oh, wait. The Y should be off, not the X. So the hitbox is probably correct, it's just because I'm rendering the sprite 16 up. There we go. We have an enemy that has a hitbox. Now we should probably generate a hitbox for BB. Which should be relatively simple, because I don't think I'm going to have... Well... I might have a squat position, because I think ghouls and ghosts have it, but for right now I'm going to ignore that that's a thing. I don't even know if it helps anything, because, like, depending on how big I make the projectiles, it's going to hit the ground. Mostly through the air where you're flying that it's an issue. Okay. But, since I probably don't want to... You know, I could also make that hitbox I'm drawing up there to be a global so that I could reuse it without reinstantiate it every time I go into that method every second. And that could save, you know, nanoseconds of time. But the BB one is going to be used a lot, so I probably should just make it its own thing. Sorry, thought I heard something. So SDL rect BB hitbox equals 0, 0. We're going to say 16 by 24 for now. And the hitbox is going to be updated after she moves, or well, we'll just update it every frame, because all it's going to be doing is updating the X location, and then the Y location minus 16. Everything should be hunky-dory. So we get down here, update BB hitbox based on state and location. State to be added later. So BB hitbox is .x equals player character .x. BB hitbox .y equals player .y minus 16, because actually it might be 24. I think it's 24 for her. Okay, let's go with that, and then we're going to do... box for debugging. Yeah, that seems good. Okay. So let's set this to green, actually. RGB. So 25, 0, 0, and this will be... Oh, this isn't an alpha. RG. Wait. Oh. Why do I have that there? Anyways, this is the one I want. Oh yeah, because if I'm doing printing, I need to mod the color back to white. Okay. So 255. SDL render rect. And then we have the renderer, and then we have BB hitbox. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Collision code will come in a minute. It should be very simple if I remember what. Oh, that's green now. Okay, that needs to be at the end because it's behind everything. Also, I need to take into account camera. X and camera Y as per usual. So I was in the right that this needs to be updated. Long and short, it's not in the display space. So let's put you all the way down here. At the end. BB hitbox dot X minus equals camera X BB hitbox dot Y minus equals camera Y. Doesn't matter at this point if it's completely destroying it, because all the logic should have been done up here. Now I want to check to make sure that my hitbox stuff doesn't have a camera going on, but my render does. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. That's all on the same page. It's just the rendering, it gets a little weird because of viewports. Okay, I can work with this. Oh, yeah. It's in the middle. I use the middle of the sprite for everything. I have committed egregious sins in that. But it doesn't matter because the hitbox is the only thing that really cares. I'm glad I got this fade to work. And the big tree's kind of nice. I know it's just me like looking at and, you know, whoops, crash, holding up my sprite sheet next to another sprite sheet, and, you know, all the knowledge comes through, but still. So, okay, if I move this over -8 on the hitbox when it's regenerated every frame, should be good. So get up here, -8, but I put a big note here that says player origin, or player X, is in middle of sprite, because you are silly. Okay, that's accurate enough. Recompile. There we go. I might make the hitbox more generous, because that's what you do. You literally always make... you make the enemy hurt boxes smaller than you expect them to be, and you make the player hitbox slightly smaller than you expect it to be, and players generally go with that. Because what they don't like is that the hitbox is like... I don't know if you can see where my mouse is on there. If I move this over... Okay, you can see it. So, making this a little smaller so it's actually inside of her sprite would work. I mean, for NES games, this is probably just fine. But if, like, it was bigger, that causes issues, because, like, oh no, this little dot hurt me, but I wasn't even standing in it. And, like, other enemy issues is, like, this I can get away with. Because it's completely encapsulating that. Trying to, like, oh no, that's too close is... Maybe. I could shrink this a little bit, and everything would be fine. But if you know, like, old games and just go like, oh, it's that square you should be avoiding. There's things like in Super Mario Brothers, the piranha plant is a single pixel, actually. It is not the full sprite. It's literally a single pixel that you have to get Mario's toes to touch in order for you to get hit by it. But you would never know, because you just assume it's as big as, like, a Goomba. And Goombas are pretty much like, you know, a solid 16 by 16 pixel block, because what else would it be? They're not taking pixel perfection into there. That's too many cycles to process. But yeah, like, I believe Mario has like an upper hitbox when he jumps, but Mario as an actual hitbox is like just his toes, or like his toes to his middle, so that fireballs can hit him when they're like, you know, about in the middle, because they're like 8x8. So if they're in the middle of a 16x16, it's like, if they're even like just grazing the top of it, it's like, oh yeah, that hits them. Anyways, thoughts aside, I still need to fix the up warp there. Or I need to design all levels, so you can never do that. But I have a level design that kind of needs that. So anyways, so I want to have, like, at some point, oh, you can go up, which is mostly, I think it's I think it's in the first game too, but mostly the Super Nintendo one. Anyways, ranting aside, let's make this a bit more fair to the player. I'm really losing my voice today. So this is going to be -4, and this is going to be -16. Or no, that's still going to be -24. Okay, let's go up to where this is set up. So this is now 8, and this is now 16, or... yeah, this might just need to be 24. Otherwise, we push this down. We'll see in a second how I feel about it. Okay, that's a more fair player hitbox. Stuff will graze the top of her head, but I think that'll be fine. And the bottom one also makes sense. It's not her movement hitbox, which is going to be an issue, and I might want to actually have that be drawn later. But for purposes of being collision, that's fine. Okay, let's actually start doing collision stuff. Right now, it's just going to be visual only. I'll have to figure out how I want to do it later, but it's real simple. We're going to have a Boolean. Everybody loves a Boolean. Gold Boolean, usually, but yeah. Okay, this is all camera stuff. Camera. Render map. Okay, this is the end of actions. We got the hitbox update. So now, collision and damage update. Bool was hit equals false. And so what I'm going to do is, once again, for int index, well, first off, SDL rect equal enemy hello. Let me just show you currently where we're at. No problem. Might as well. I have hitboxes. I've done a little fiddling with them, but I have an enemy rendering system, and I have hitboxes. I don't have an enemy spawning system or enemy AI, but I have hitboxes, and I'm going to write a quick little thing to make this green rectangle turn red when it collides. Assuming you can see that. You can see that. Okay. Yep, nothing's exploded yet. So we have the enemy hitbox, which I'm going to just... this is going to be a temporary variable that is going to be thrown out. I just don't want to make it 20 times a frame. So let's have it for index equals 0, index less than max enemy, index plus plus. Now we'll see if if enemy array, because I love me my global arrays in simple setups, dot entity index equals 0. Continue. Otherwise, we set up get enemy hitbox index. We don't need to use the magic for this one. Enemy hitbox. Okay, now I need to do a bit of wiki worrying and look at the SDL wiki to see collision stuff. SDL rect collision. Well, Lazy Foo has it, and Lazy Foo is a great thing. Because I'm pretty sure... it looks like he's actually doing it manually. I think there is literally take box... I don't need per pixel collision, that's too much. SDL2 wiki. There we go, front page. Source code, installation, API, functions. I want the functions. Rect. Okay, fill rect. Get clip. I think clip is what I'm looking for. I don't know if this is an expensive function, but oh, wait, no. Okay, that's not what I want. Continue looking for rect. Intersect rect. Okay, so calculate the intersection of two rectangles with float precision. Okay. And then we get a float rect. An SDL rect filled with intersection of blah blah blah. If the result is null, then this function will return SDL false. Okay, let's just make sure. What's its return? Return value SDL bool returns true if there's an error is false. And then I can get another float rect, which I don't need, but I need to create. I didn't even know this exists. But if SDL rect intersection, there's got to be one that I don't have to pass weird stuff in, because I just need to have if it is colliding with each other. I don't need to have. Oh wait, there's a normal rect one. I don't need float rect. It's the same sort of thing though. I didn't even know you could have float rects. I can't spell. It's intersect rect, not rect intersection. Okay, so we have BB hitbox, and then we have enemy hitbox. If that equals SDL true, which is very weird, you could just return a boolean, my guy. Oh, it's wait, we do the magic to make it stop yelling. Yeah, oh, I need to pass in. I need to pass in collision rect. Can I just do this as well? The fun of pointers. Okay, so if that's true, was hit equals true, and we break. Because we don't need to know anymore. It's not like you're going to take 7 hits and get wombo comboed and it piles up. You hit once and you turn into bones. Or more likely I do the Mario, you fly up and you fly down. Okay. So we get down here, and this is just a check. Sorry. If was hit, we're going to make it red. Otherwise, we're going to make it green. So this is red. This is green. Now, anytime the 2 rectangles are overlapping, it should flip, or I have it backwards, and I need to invert my logic earlier. There it is. Okay. Moment of truth. Turned red. Now it's green. Now it's red. Now it's green. Now it's red. It was red for a second. I think she's working. This sort of collision is simple because it doesn't have physics. It doesn't have like, hey, check if you're going through an object. Or you're going to go through an object in a frame or anything like that. It's literally just like, is something on top of something else? And I don't have to like back up and figure out where to place it. Like up here where it's doing the warp, because I don't have this as like, you know, hey, this tile, you can't go up in it. Which I can add at a later stage, but... Okay. Now then, I want to have the dog go in the direction it's going. We're going to have it spawn in. So, I'm going to go back up here. I should probably get rid of these. I'm going to go down to this, and I'm always going to have the dog spawn left. And... Actually... We can have the function handle the logic. We can do that by int player x int player y. So that we can have the enemy facing the correct direction. In fact, I should probably add that down to the render so I can get that out of the way. Ah! No, I want to find where they're used. They're used down here. Okay. Yep, okay. And just as a basic thing, if player X greater than... Because usually there's going to be like really no downward scroll things. It's usually left and right, though there's a bit of verticality, but you aren't exactly like dropping down a bunch of things. And even then, I'll figure it out later. It's less than X enemy array index dot left right direction equals right direction, else enemy, oh, this is backwards, left direction. And I could copy and paste that. Just copy the whole line, please. Please. Thank you. Boom. And then that could be right direction. Okay. Void render enemy. Now then, this is where it gets interesting. I'm going to minimize this for a second because I need all the real estate. Because I'm going to need to flip these two. I mean, I can just do this. This is sucky, but eh. I don't want to outsmart myself. This is a very wet coat. Independent bits engine? Okay. Equals right. Else. So left is the default. It did not like that paste. Okay. And 1, 0, 3, 2. I'm going to look at it a minute and then figure out if I need to do some math and everything will be fine. Actually, wait. Okay. Let's just think for a second. Yeah, I can just... Okay, 1 second. I don't need to be like this. I can just store... left int left x equals 0 int right x left sprite equals 0, right sprite equals 1. Okay, I'm cooking here. If it is greater or equal to 32, we will say that left sprite equals 2, right sprite equals 3. Now we get down here, we can get rid of that logic. And then we can just, because it's the same Y for this one. It's going to be individualized for each one because there might be little finicky things, especially for like the dog. And is there a flip sprite in here? There probably is. Enemy array index. Actually, flip and flip. Okay, so we have this. We're going to have it set up every time it goes through here as int flip equals false. Yeah, flip is equal to enemy array index dot left right direction equals right direction. Otherwise, the default is always facing left. That's fine. And if it's flipped, if flip int hold equals right sprite left sprite equals right sprite, or no, right sprite equals left sprite. Okay, that should be fine. Let's see if I broke anything before I go any further. I can't do basic stuff, it seems. What? Did I forget to close something? I mean, I can't tell because the ending's off all that. Okay, if I cut out all this, will you be happy? What's going on here? Cross initial. What the heck is a cross initialization? That's left sprite and that's right sprite. Do I have that? I don't have that set up anywhere else. Why are you being... Can I not set stuff up in there? If I put this up here, does it work? What is going on? Oh, I hate this. Okay. I'm just going to call the... Okay, let's put a T on the end and see if it, like, throws a fit. Because I have no idea why it doesn't like... The T is for test. Why it doesn't like me putting that in here. It shouldn't care. It's a standard initialization. No, it doesn't like that. Does it just not like anything being set up? Oh, in which case, switches are useless. They shouldn't be useless. Test equals 0. Look, it's an int. Like, the compiler doesn't even care. Yeah, it's just throwing a fit on anything being initialized in there. Can you not initialize stuff in there? Let me look this up. This doesn't make any sense on why it's even throwing a fit. Yep, thanks Windows. I wanna have this cover up all the screen instead of try and actually see the middle of something so I can look at it and try to reference it. C++ crosses. Alright. Ah, for C++, switch is hell. Yeah, okay. So it doesn't actually want me initializing stuff inside of switches. That is dumb. Well, some sprites are going to get real interesting in a bit, but... That's good to know. You can't initialize stuff in there, so that kind of breaks some things. So you know what that means? Into the void. If enemy array, we're going to have a giant, ugly, slow if-else ladder because I want to initialize things in here. If I don't initialize things in here, it's going to get rough real quick. Bop. Now that everything is, you know, slowly getting unreadable because we have to have all this junk up here. Let's see if I matched up my... Okay. Toss switch into the void. Keep this. I actually find this really unreadable, so it doesn't help me. All it does is it reduces the space I can work with. Okay. Alright, a quick test to see if this is working is that... maybe. I'm talking about like all this stuff that the IDE is putting up here. As you scroll down, it like, oh, here's what started this whole mess. It's like, that doesn't help me. I just lost 4 lines of code on here, and I have this at the bottom, and if this gets more nested, it's going to get worse. Like, technically you shouldn't have nests going that deep, but it happens. And I'm not one to break... I hate functions that are like 2 lines long, that just call other functions, because you need to get rid of nesting. So you push the problem out to throwing the code across an entire database instead of being like, oh no, it's 6 levels deep. Now it's 7 functions. Actually, more likely it's like 12, because, you know, if you have any logic in it. Yeah. Anyways, that said, so set enemy. Enemy is now going to be to the left of BB, the beet rice. I think something's wrong. You think something's wrong? I think something's wrong. Oh, I clicked off it wrong. Alright, so go back into here. Render enemy. Because it's only in the enemy. Like, the entity does not carry any information about what's displayed. It's just an X and Y. It's an X and Y value. That's about it. So if it's... Oh, this is why. Haha. That was silly. Okay. Now it should be flipped. Look. Look what the dog doing. Okay, with that, let's try a little bit of enemy thing. So this isn't like a really complex enemy. I'm not even sure if I'm going to put a sine wave on it. I could, but I don't think I will. I think I'll just have it go like right to left, and it'll just... Maybe I'll put something on there. Because I think all the enemies kind of have that. Though I think in the original Ghosts and Goblins they did like a... You can see this, right? Let me check. Yeah, okay. The original Ghosts and Goblins, I think they did like the condom ghosts. They did things like, oh, they'll come down here and they'll go this way, or they'll just keep heading if you're in that direction. Not sure. I know the ones with shields just go like the entire screen up and down, which is kind of silly, but I mean, if you do. What was the 2-headed dog in SMT? Because you couldn't have Cerberus at low levels, so they had the 2-headed dog. Anyways. I just think it's funny. Yeah, I think that's the two-headed dog. I'm not even sure if it's part of Legend, but I always see it and I go like, oh, they have this because they can't have Cerberus at low levels. Okay, so let's go back to set enemy. And Orthos, I might as well look it up. I mean, I have the word. It's right in front of me. I just have to go to the internet and go into a search engine and go Orthos SMT. Orthos? Orthros? Okay. No, he's... Oh, yeah. In a Soul Hacker, he gets a second head. The original SMT, he has one head. Persona 5, he has two heads. Devil Children, he's a puppy. As you would expect from Devil Children. But yeah, Soul Hacker, he gained a new head. And then it just kept going on from there. Yeah, okay. Devil Summoner, Soul Hacker. Yeah, that's real weird. On when he got his second head. Oh wait, actually Persona 2 he has two heads. It says Greek dog with two heads. Though in the earlier ones you can't tell. With the mane and tail snakes. Okay, anyways. Probably its own legend and all that, but yeah, whenever I see it, I just think, oh, they wanted to have Cerberus early. Okay, let's put this as plus 64. How far out is that? I think that's like half the screen. I'm not sure, though. Okay. That's... Actually, I think it is like half the screen. Yeah. Alright. So, I'm going to add some enemy logic. Later, I'll probably have to add a data or a projectile logic sort of thing. But all I'm doing is at end of frame. If you're on them, do it, because I'm not moving fast enough. It should move through 8 pixels. Why the... Okay, I must have hit 2 things and it did something. I hope I didn't wreck anything. Still compile. If I hit save, did I delete something off screen because reasons? No, it doesn't look like. Void do enemy logic. Let's call it that. For int index equals 0, index less than max enemy. Index increment if enemy array index dot equals 0 continue. You know, I should also, while I'm in here, enemy array index dot HP equals 1. I'll fix that up later, but if enemy array index dot HP less than 1, enemy array index, or yeah, in place, totally, equal, or dot entity, I keep wanting to call it enemy, equals 0. Actually, can I just reset that? I can make that its own function. Yeah, let's make this its own function. Index, or int index. This is also just being paranoid over here, but I'd rather do it. There we go. And continue. Otherwise, if. I'm using ifs now because you can't use initialization inside switches. So I can't really do logic stuff in them. If enemy array index dot entity ID equals 1. We'll make this simple. If enemy array index dot left or right direction equals right direction, else to the left. So we'll move it like 2 pixels a frame. Enemy array index. Totally independent byte engine. It's not index. Dot x plus plus. Or a pixel a frame. Minus minus. I should also make a cull that is like that's a giant rectangle that's like a screen in every direction, and if something's completely outside of it, I just cull it from memory. But that could be for later. Anyways, we have this. Some grace for players is that the collision logic will happen before enemies move and all that, so you're dealing with basically 1 frame of grace, we'll call it. Where's was hit? Okay, there we go. I think this is the way that feels better. So now we should have a ink dog that just books it. Look at him go. Want to see it again? That doesn't look too bad. Let's put him way over. Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. I mean, it's a whole, you get up to edge of the screen and, oh, look, you got a face full of ink dog. So you throw stuff at it or you jump over it or something. That seems like a reasonable enemy. I could have a thing where, like, you know, it goes up and down a little bit, but I don't really care. Okay. Do I want to do the off-screen stuff? Yeah. Oh, we're still open. I mean, when you're playing this game, you're just kind of like spamming the attack button as you go along anyways. Even if it like pauses you for a second. And then you learn that, like, you know, this section you do that. I do like the trees. They're not the thing I would do myself, but taking inspiration and trying to replicate the feel, they kind of came out alright. Anyways, we have that. I could make the, try to figure out the birds, have them sit on, like, this. You get close enough, they go out of state and, like, they flap up and then they do a dive bomb. That's kind of what I want them to do. Like, you see them, like, right here, and then you get closer and then they flap up and then they start trying to track, oops, that's off, track where you're going and fall on you. Also, wait, I should check out a curiosity. Because YouTube supposedly rolled out something that changes the names. Oh, why are you running slow now? Okay. Alright, I'm going to have a thing after do enemy logic. Remove enemies based on camera. I want to do that now, I might as well. For int index equals 0. Index is less than, once again, well, we have an enemy hitbox up here. Oh, actually. Move enemy if off screen. If box STL rect screen hitbox equals camera X minus screen width camera Y minus screen height screen width times 3 screen height times 3. So this gives us I'm going to bring this up for a second. Is this on top? Yeah, that's fine. So this is the screen. This is the size I'm making it so that when you fully get like a tile that's going to spawn something, it can spawn it. Then, you know, it keeps going, it keeps going, keeps going. And like, I don't want like a weird little flicker at the edge, so it can go off screen over here, like way out there. And then I don't need to care about it. Then I could have like weird stuff like, you know, or I can have like possibly the spawn to be closer or something. I don't know. I'll think of it, but this seems reasonable to me as a size of actual in-memory do stuff. So we have this. If STL intersect rect at screen hit box enemy hitbox and collision rect, because I just need to have it, equals STL false. Default enemy index. And I'm going to have a little thing here called that just says it. Standard cout enemy despawn. Okay. Because I'm in there, I might as well do it. I might as well save like 20 cycles. Okay. Okay, enemy despawn. So it went off screen and despawned. Perfect. So the other thoughts on spawning should be like, maybe... Okay, so once it gets on screen, it's in a fresh state. Then once it hits like a quarter mark, it can then spit it out and be exhausted. And like you have to go like back a ways, and then you come back in, and then it'll respawn the enemies. And if you just keep spawning enemies on top of yourself, that's your own fault. I should check in to see how the system works actually. So what I don't want to have happen is this on top? No. Okay. To the void with you. What I don't want to have happen, because it happens in games, like, I even found out Resident Evil 7 has it, is that, oh, okay, you spawn an enemy. Now this thing is enabled, or the enemy spawns, so, you know, enemy here. And you know the enemy is over here, so you walk back a little bit. Oh no, it despawns. And then you wiggle back the other way, and there's no enemy now because the trigger to spawn it has already been exhausted. I mean, I could do that, like, it only does it here, but now you just, like, you go up to this, you don't even have them on screen, and then you wiggle back. We could put it off and make it closer and closer to, like, if it's right on the edge of the screen, maybe you spawn it, but it's still the same problem. You know it's there, you walk up to the line, and then you walk back. I think, unless it's like faster than you, which would be very silly and just like, you know, hit you like a truck when it spawns. So I want to have some leeway in that. So the idea is going to be, I don't have this implemented yet, and I'm just snowballing, or spitballing, not snowball. Oh god. There we go. Is that, like, the trigger comes in, I put it into some sort of space, and it's fresh, it's ready to go. It hits this, it fires off, it creates the enemy. The enemy, it can exist within half a screen. Yeah, that'd be something else entirely. Like, I'm also trying to avoid the snowballing of, like, having so many enemies spawn because you just go left and right, which is the opposite problem of you get it to just spawn and then you go the other way. The snowball would just be, hey, you walk into here, you don't know the enemy spawns, like the enemy doesn't move. You go into there, then you quickly go back out. It comes, the trigger is like outside of whatever area, then you come back in. It's like, both the problems can happen with this. And I don't know how they did it in the old one. I should probably see if there's any documentation on it. It might just be literally it randomly spawns and they just go left or right to left. So, whatever. I know some of them are random, but I know a lot more aren't. I know, like, the zombies will just, like, you know, spawn and, like, they wiggle, they come up, and then they just keep going in the direction. But the birds on, like, the tombstones sit there. Well, they might just not care. So I said the zombies are random, they pop up. The enemies on, like, tombstones, like the birds on the tombstones, they just sit there. And, like, that could spawn in off screen or whatever. It's like you get off screen, like, it goes away, whatever. It comes back on screen, it spawns it again. And it doesn't matter if you have it, like, right at the edge, because it's just going to spawn and despawn. Who cares? You don't see it. But then you get close enough, you know, it flies up and then it dive bombs you. Bosses are a similar thing. Like, who cares if you, like, you despawn it and give it all its health back, but I think it just locks the screen at a boss arena anyways. Hmm. I don't want there to be a way to get rid of enemies by just wiggling, and I don't want there to be fill up and then the screen with one type of enemy to possibly circumvent like any sort of like later enemy that might happen by filling up the enemy cap. And I think having the trigger just like be middle and like then it goes away. But if you have to like walk back half a screen to get it to come back in, then walk back in to get things to happen, then you have the enemy just doubled up at most. Hopefully. Probably wrong. Okay. Almost been about 2 hours, but my throat is kind of dying. And I want to think, what else can I do in this? Thinking of how to have... Well, I suppose, first off, I should probably make a spawn trigger class. I'm thinking. Shouldn't think while you stream. It's a very bad idea. And this is like what? Enum? Struct, that's what it is. Okay. Struct trigger. Bool enable. Int x, int y, int enemy ID. That's pretty much all I need. And once I have that, I need to have, you know, a trigger array and max enemy. So if that's enabled, it can spawn it, and then it can just sit in memory until it falls out. That's fine. So as long as it's not set, and I think if I do this, it's set to 0. You know, I can hand code it. So I'll show what my level setup looks like. My level setup is exactly what I did with tiles, except I did them with screens. So like you could see what I did here. These are the tile information, all that. And then I can like stitch them together. Like I can literally just take screen, put that here and have this go on infinitely. Like if I recompile this, I'll have 2 sets of trees. Oh, jump the dog. I jump over here and I keep going and... Oh look, another set. Why are you there? Oh! Because this is the end of tile 1 and this is the beginning of tile 2. Okay, that makes sense. Now, I can do other stupid, terrible things, like try and incorporate the enemy trigger data to be added onto there. I know how to do that, and it's kind of silly. I mean, like, I did it for the 7-day roguelike. Okay, sorry, I'm thinking here. What else I could do is just like, hey, I have a large list of triggers that I can have the ones like the zombie spawners, like, hey, if you're on screen, just find a place on screen to spawn a zombie every, like, whatever. And it doesn't disable, because it isn't a one and done. And I can just manually set the X, Ys of those. But that seems a little hard. I'd rather do it in a way where I could draw it onto here, but that's going to get complicated because I'm going to have to then do masking and stuff, and then I'm going to, I need to figure out what's drawing that in the top left corner. Because then I'm going to have to figure out how to get it into here and keep it clean. I think I'm more in, I'm going to have to, like, just have a list of, probably put this into a header class, the whole trigger thing to a header, into this thing right here. So when I'm in here, I can make an array, and I'll give it a size of how many it should care about, and it can just go iterate through the array and go whoop whoop whoop. Where do I care? Is it something in here? And then like every screen, I can about guesstimate where it's going to fit. I mean, like technically, I could just have it be tile based, so it won't matter. And then once it sees that, oh no, it could be, I could create them all at once, and they're loaded in there all at once. And then it's enabled. And then once it, I think, because the thought is, okay, step back a bit. So the thought is, if I have it attached to the tile, so like this tile has trigger on it. When you move over, it goes like, oh, add trigger to, you know, the list of whatever. And then it's sitting there until you like move it over to here, then it like executes. And then maybe I could have something like you can't have the same trigger be loaded in memory or something. Anyways, I'm almost at 2 hours, and as I said, there's something up with my throat today. So I think I'm going to call it quits, but I mean, accomplishment, I did a little more than I expected. But I don't think I have much left in this throat today. I did get the hitboxes set up. I don't have much to show for it besides, like, you know, hitboxes working and dog moving left. Actually, can I make dog move right and just make sure that works, and then I can call it a day? They're very important, but I knew this would be kind of a punt. Set enemy. Yes, it was. The best part of the joke is that the rose is a hitbox. Okay, dog is going both directions. I repeat, dog is going both directions. And into the void. Okay, let's kite the dog, and then jump over it. Okay. You know, I can make trigger. Oh, I need to have, yeah, okay. I think BB would be for that. Okay, one second. I need to do something else. So I'm going to add a direction to the trigger. And most of them are going to be like no direction, but I want to have a thing on it so like if you go past a point, it'll spawn an enemy behind you, but it won't spawn that enemy before you when you're heading in that direction. So I can have like pincer attacks. So trigger, I might move these to their own class. Check player direction. Check player condition. And if there's no direction, it just spawns. I'm also going to have a bool disable after use, which will, or continual spawn. This is for the zombie thing, where like you'll spawn it and it will do a thing. Anyways, my throat is gone. I'm going to figure out something, but thank you for coming. No, it's a little short. I should probably try for like 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, but today is not the day. So thank you very much, and I will see you next week. I might do some more. I might do some live 2D next week, or I might pick up something else, but we'll see. With that, have a good day, and see you later. Or good time of day, and I'll see you later.